Hello everyone, good morning and welcome back to Sports Today. Before we get started on catching up with what are the latest interesting things that have been happening in the world of sport whilst you, me and pretty much everyone else was catching up on some all-important sleep, just wanted to take out a moment and wish all of you all a very happy Independence Day. We hope you enjoy it at home and of course celebrate the fact that as a nation we have come very far since that rather eternal day when we ended up gaining independence. That being said, let's get straight back to talking about what we love talking about the most, and that's sport, beginning with a rather important update surrounding the Indian cricket team and what exactly is the status of the selection for the Asia Cup. Now, you would remember that the Asia Cup would be the one thing that of course all cricket fans are really looking forward to, due to the simple fact that, well, last year the Asia Cup gave you a good barometer of just where your preparedness was when it came to the T20 World Cup. You ended up playing it. You were supposed to be playing 3 matches against Pakistan including the final, but you only played 2. You won the group stage match. You ended up losing out in the Super 4s and therefore didn't make it to the final where Pakistan played and ended up losing to Sri Lanka. So what about this year's Asia Cup team selection? Well, there are reports that the selection committee is going to be, meeting on Saturday, that is later this week, to decide when exactly it is to name the squad. Now, in case you're wondering why there is that delay, it is due to the fact that the selection committee is waiting for the full return to fitness or the confirmation of fitness of 2 players, Shreyas Iyer and KL Rahul. Now, you would of course have seen that both of them have been taking part in match simulations in the NCA, which shows that their fitness levels are actually getting a lot better, but both of them need to be at 100% fitness, and there are obviously concerns that both of them will be rushed back into international cricket pretty much straight away. And in the case of KL Rahul, it's doubly complicated because he would not only have to be batting, but he will have to be keeping wickets potentially for 50 overs. That is why we have been told over here at Sports Today by BCCI sources that the meeting is being kept a little later in this week to ensure that you have a clearer idea of whether or not one of them, both of them, or neither of them will be fully fit for selection come the Asia Cup. But what happens if that is indeed the case and you have a problem where one of them or maybe even both of them are not necessarily available? What then when it comes to the middle order conundrum? Well, this man right here, Tilak Varma, who had a pretty impressive India debut during the West Indies T20I series, looked arguably the most assured of all the batters besides of course Surya Kumar Yadav, and of course has the added advantage of not only being a part-time bowler, he bowled a couple of useful overs of off-spin during that final T20I, and also is more importantly a left-hander in the middle order, something India have desperately been crying out for. Well, there are now reports doing the rounds that his name may very well be considered for the ODIs if the BCCI feels that they need to fast-track him due to the unavailability of course, Shreyas Iyer and KL Rahul. Now, of course, the other reason why you're talking about rushing back both of them is because, quite frankly, you haven't actually gotten enough from the players who were supposed to be the backups to both Iyer and Rahul. Now, in the case of Shreyas, his backup was meant to be Surya Kumar Yadav, but Surya Kumar Yadav, despite remaining a beast in T20I cricket, well, he just hasn't been able to take to ODI cricket the same way. And the backup to KL Rahul was naturally being seen as Sanju Samson, but Samson too has flattered to deceive not only during the ODI series but even during the T20Is. He had that 150 which he made during the ODIs, but that was the extent of it, and generally speaking his batting hasn't looked as good, which is why there are at least murmurs that Tilak Varma may be considered. That being said, those same reports come with a pinch of salt that they see him as someone who's a youngster who needs to be groomed for the long term, so they might not want to do it, but they may very well go down that route. It might be their break glass in case of emergency option, just in case there is no choice. Now, speaking of course, players, moving on from players who are, fighting for their availability selection, focusing on one who most definitely is available for selection, Virat Kohli. Now, obviously, with the case of Virat, there have been, signs that his form has generally been getting better in recent times. He was okay during the, he didn't get to bat much during the West Indies ODI series, or in fact, he didn't get to bat at all, really, when you think about it. But overall, he was looking very assured. He did end up also getting a test run in the West Indies series, so there haven't been that many concerns, but there has been a lot of chatter among fans that Kohli is slowly but surely nearing in on a record that would actually be bringing him a lot of pleasure if he could get there, which is, of course, a lot of people are talking about how close he can get to the 100 scored by Sachin Tendulkar. However, this man right here, Robin Uthappa, has said that for one, he doesn't see it like Kohli would be looking at personal records at this point, given the fact that Kohli has been an integral part of an Indian team that hasn't actually been able to win ICC trophies. Uthappa said the main focus for Kohli would be to ensure that India end up winning trophies and matches, not what personal records he gets. That's, of course, Uthappa's opinion, and it most likely is right. In recent times, you've seen Kohli be a more selfless player in the sense that he's more focused on putting the team's interests first, although that many would argue that that's always been the case. He's not someone who's played for milestones as much as he has for winning the game. In recent times, though, since he's gotten that clarity of thought and focus back in his game, it has been pretty evident that he doesn't necessarily need to be going for records. His main focus, winning matches, and I think that's going to remain the case when he is back playing in the blue colours. Now, sticking with more cricket, but moving on from, say, Indian cricket, a rather surprising turn of events. Sri Lanka's leg spinning all-rounder Wanindu Hasaranga has actually told the Sri Lankan cricket board, that Sri Lanka cricket, and he is going to be retiring from test match cricket. Now, of course, Wanindu is only 26 years old and has only played about 4 test matches, if my memory serves me right, and he's done okay in those test matches. However, the main reason that Wanindu wants to actually focus more on white ball cricket is that he wants to prolong his career, and of course, he's someone who's done well in multiple leagues the world over, so it does kind of make sense that he would focus on, let's say, maximizing his income from those leagues, as well as, of course, being a white ball specialist for Sri Lanka, rather than look to play test cricket, although it does, of course, not paint test cricket in the best of light when a player as good as Hasaranga, someone who could be very, very effective in the format, chooses to walk away. More cricket news, and this time actually it's a little bit of a hybrid, because David Warner has actually sent out a best wish to the Australian women's football team that will be playing the FIFA Women's World Cup semi-final against England, and he's put it out in a rather hilarious manner. He took to Twitter and said, "An early good luck to the Matildas," that is, of course, the Australian women's football team's nickname. "Just keep an eye out in case the Poms ask to change the ball," along with a couple of laughing emojis. Now, we know, of course, what exactly it is he's referring to over here. He's referring to the fact that in that 5th and final Ashes Test match, the England team ended up getting the ball changed, and, well, that actually quite literally swung the match in their favor. Of course, in football, ball changes do tend to happen, especially when the ball is, gone out of play. But we're pretty sure David's just being tongue-in-cheek here. It's a funny comment, and it's something that I felt was worth letting you guys know about, because, again, it's pretty witty. It's a good line overall. Switching our focus now from the world of cricket to the world of football, some Premier League news for you. Manchester United opened their Premier League campaign last night against Wolverhampton Wanderers, and it was pretty much a struggle of a match in many ways, but they ended up walking away with all the 3 points thanks to this man on your screen, Rafael Varane. Now, Varane ended up getting a late winner for Manchester United, and that means they've started their campaign having taken all 3 points. But it was a good performance from Wolves. They acquitted themselves well, especially when you consider the fact that they just recently ended up having to pretty much part ways with manager Julian Lopetegui, and they're under new management. They did okay, all things considered, considering the amount of chaos that was engulfing the club. But even with United, they'd be very happy, because it probably wasn't the best performances. They looked scratchy at times, but they ended up walking away with all 3 points regardless. In more football news, Chelsea have completed a British record transfer fee signing of Brighton and Hove international midfielder Moses Caicedo. Now, Caicedo, of course, was someone who had been a Chelsea target throughout the summer, but there was a lot of haggling and back and forth that was trying to be done by Chelsea. That is, of course, until Liverpool ended up coming in more than not just matching Brighton's price. They upped the bid and looked to be in pole position to sign Caicedo, only until Caicedo said, "Look, no, I only want to be going to Chelsea." Chelsea upped their bid, a deal was met, and he's now the second most, one of the more expensive midfielders In fact, the most expensive British transfer signing, which breaks the record incidentally that Chelsea had at also one time set by his current midfield partner or soon to be midfield partner, Enzo Fernandez. A lot of money being spent, and I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, how exactly is it the case that they're spending so much? We'll be doing a little special video on that in just a bit as to how it is that Chelsea have been able to skirt around FFP regulations despite splurging a lot of cash. Last but not least, and if you were a fan of the Wimbledon final that took place between Novak Djokovic and Carlos Alcaraz, and truth be told, I don't know why you wouldn't be, because it was an epic match, they will be facing off against each other again, but this time in a very different tournament, the Davis Cup. That is because both of them have been named in the Serbia and Spain squad for the Davis Cup World Finals matches that will be taking place from September 12 to 17. So there is every chance you will be seeing another singles match between these two. And of course, if you remember how Wimbledon went, it was in fact very much a back and forth encounter that went deep, it went long. No one really knew at one point who exactly was winning, and it was a thrilling match. I, for one, will be very excited to see how this turns out in the Davis Cup as well. And that's it from us from this edition of the Morning Wrap with Sports Today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Again, if you enjoy our work, please don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Don't forget to download the AajTak app, and if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos that we've done, and stay tuned as we'll bring you so much more that is happening from the world of sport. For now, though, from my side, it's goodbye.